In the beginning of 2022, I was asked to prepare a presentation about notable trends that would change developer experience in 2022. And it made me thinking. So I went and talked to some of my friends who are developers and some developers who developing developer tools. And we kind of agree that back in 2021, Apple M1 laptops drove a revolution that's comparable to iPhones and what they did to smartphone market. And it's very difficult to argue, at least for me, that in 2021 alone, more projects integrated with ARM than in all past years. What makes ARM especially appealing for developers is that it strikes a perfect balance between cost, performance, and energy efficiency. And most importantly, the question shifted from should I try ARM? Is it just a toy for Raspberry Pi geeks? To why not I'm running my production on ARM? And thanks to some community and industry leaders who move some of their workloads from traditional x86 into ARM, like Honeycomb, who moved their Kafka workloads to Graviton instances. Hi, my name is Viktor Gamov with Kong, and in this video, I will show you how you can run Kubernetes workloads with Service Mesh on Amazon Graviton instances. Let's get to it. While the first generation of Graviton processor that powered A1 instances was better suited for less computer-intensive workloads, this processor is intended to offer AWS customers with compelling alternative for conventional x86 powered instances in performance and cost department. With Graviton 2 instances that uses ARM64 as architecture, workloads and their tool chains that these workloads will rely need to be recompiled in order to run in this architecture. With the release of Kuma 1.7 and Kong Mesh 1.8, developers can run Service Mesh managed workloads in Kubernetes cluster that powered by ARM processors. So in this presentation, I will show you how you can deploy Kong Mesh control plane using Helm, deploy some of the workloads. As you know, my favorite quote service that will be spitting out some of the back to future quotes. And also just for fun, we will enable a gateway API and try to access those workloads from outside worlds. Along the way, we will enable traditional features like mTLS and the service mesh to show you how it all works. So let's jump right in. Amazon EC2 instances that marked as a M6G, that's a general purpose compute instances that you can use and run your ARM workloads. For my application, for this demo, I already provisioned my Kubernetes cluster that runs with 3 physical nodes on AWS EC2. Those nodes are indeed M6G large instances. That's what we're going to be using today. And if I will switch to my K9S, I can describe some of the nodes. And I see that indeed architecture we're running is ARM64 and we're running Linux. So this cluster is ready to roll. I use a tool called eksctrl in order to create a cluster in my AWS account. And also, I will include a declarative script that defines this cluster. So some of the notable metadata here, name of the cluster ARM Mesh. I'm running this in US East 1, which is closer to me because I'm on East Coast in US. And in the node groups, I want to specifically use this M6G eksctrl large instances. You can also go and see what kind of instances available and pick up something that's suitable for your budget or your needs in terms of performance. And my cluster right now runs with 3 nodes. I also enable CloudWatch in my cluster so I can debug any issues if they will arise in future. So Kubernetes cluster is ready to roll. So next step would be to install my Kuma control plane. In this demo, I will be using installation of Kuma and Kong Mesh using Helm And you can find this instruction inside the Kuma documentation. So you can find all these links that I'm talking about down below in the comments, and you can follow along. So with this, I'm going into make install control plane. So since I'm planning to use some of the gateway API capabilities in this demo, I also need to install some of the CRDs for this and enable gateway API so we can access some of the workloads from outside world. So it takes a few seconds in order to provision my Kuma control plane. Once Helm's done installing Kuma control plane, I can switch back to K9S and see what we do have here. So Kong mesh system is up and running. So I need to expose one service. In this particular case, I'm going to be exposing 5681, which allows us to get access to GUI. And I'm switching here, refreshing the screen, and voila, I have my Kong mesh running right now in ARM64 on Kubernetes. That was a pretty simple task. So let's deploy some of the workloads. My simple application that I use to display the quotes from Back to the Future, Chuck Norris, Dune, or whatever, if you've seen the previous videos, that you probably know this. If you haven't seen those, go check this out, previous videos on the Kong YouTube channel. This demo application actually has two versions of this image. It includes traditional x86 version and also includes ARM64 instance. So we're going to be picking up the ARM64 instance to deploy. We also will be enabling some of the additional features. Small interesting fact for you that Kong mesh and Kuma comes with the demo application that can be also deployed, and all these images for these demo applications as well available in ARM flavor. Now, once we have the control plane up and running, so next thing is to deploy some of the workloads. As I promised, we're going to be using thing called gateway in order to get access to this thing from outside world. So first thing, we need to deploy this gateway. So the way how it looks like, it's like this. Kuma has a controller that will be provisioning this gateway, and it will create a load balancer that will have external address that we will be able to connect from our application. So let's do this one. We will deploy this gateway. Those gateways are created, and if I will run and I'll do the services. So now I have this service with type of load balancer in Kuma, and it has very, very long name for external address. So this is going to be address that we're going to be using. So I'm copying this into my Insomnia, and Insomnia has this environment variable, variable that I will be using to hit this. When I hit this first time, let's see, disable this one. Nothing really happens because we didn't configure any routes. So let's deploy workloads. Now, I will just do this, and the namespace is Kuma demo. So this namespace is managed by Kuma. So we have services that deployed in our mesh that will include some Back to Future demo application from Kuma. So there's no mTLS deployed. So what we can do here is to enable this mTLS, and that's why we use the service mesh to do this. So I would just say enable. Go ahead and refresh here, and immediately Kuma enabled those mTLS connections, and now the services are connected inside the mesh with mTLS. So we have our workloads, we have our gateway. Next thing is to have a HTTP route that allows us to hit the service from outside world. So for that, I would just go ahead and install my 03 HTTP route based on hostname. So this will create, let's take a look on this. On the host, let's take a look how it looks like. So we're going to be using the host header to hit this URL, and this will drive us into Back to Future quote service. If I'm go into my namespace and I will try to find HTTPRoute, that's HTTPRoute that we have here. Let's see, describe if it's status is okay, it's resolved, it's good to go. So I will be able to hit this service. That's my gateway API, that's my port. So first time when I try to hit this, it's not found because we didn't define how the service needs to be reached. So that's why we need to include a host header. And now we're getting response from back to future service. We have some headers that says it's Kuma gateway is running, and everything right now is running on ARM64 instances. So you can take the same demo and run on any managed Kubernetes, or you can even run this on the local Kubernetes cluster. For example, I personally excited to receive my Turing PI board that also ARM system, that where I can run my Kubernetes and Kuma mesh workloads. All right, so I hope you enjoy this presentation. You can find more learning materials in the Kong YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe to YouTube channel and join us at the Kong Builders weekly streams. And with this, my name is Viktor Gamov, and as always, have a nice day.